Mysterious monsters of the Vietnam War. Debunked. The Vietnam War, a war that was an extensive, expensive, and cunning conflict between the communist government of North Vietnam and its Viet Cong allies against South Vietnam, backed by the United States. The North Vietnamese army dominated Southeast Asia for most of the war. The war raged between 1955 to 1975, with over 3 million people killed, half of them Vietnamese civilians, and 58,000 American soldiers. If you happen to meet a veteran from the war, brace yourself for the endless battle tales. The war was devastating for anyone who ever set foot on Vietnamese soil. But war tales aren't the only thing these veterans spoke of. Soldiers for its soldiers, but reached a point when they encountered something strange. Many of them tell the tale of the mysterious monsters found in the dense jungle of Vietnam. Tales of the Batutut. One goes like this. It was on a hot sunny day when a few men from the 101 Airborne Division decided to take a break in a hilly jungle. On the other hand, the Viet Cong had taken to attacking the enemy when they least expected it, waiting for the soldiers to walk into their trap. The Americans were resting but well aware of the ambush that might await them. Sure enough, the Viet Cong soldiers opened fire on the Americans. The latter rushed to cover, each head accounted for. The Americans were able to see the muzzle flashes coming from behind enemy lines. All the American soldiers had to do now was take out the Viet Cong rebels without getting killed. The Americans now returned fire when suddenly one of them heard a rumbling sound from the bushes nearby. Now, if you heard something in the bushes, what would you think would jump out? A bunny? A tiger? Or a Pikachu? But what happened next would go down as one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in human history. From the bushes emerged a creature. Definitely not human, that fled from the battlefield by lunging great distances at a time. The American soldiers were unharmed, still in shock, but unharmed. The same cannot be said for the Viet Congs though. On the other side of the battlefield, the Viet Cong soldiers opened fire on the inhuman creature. And though it was struck by bullets, it kept on running, roaring, probably clawing a few northern Vietnam allies along the way, but we'll get to that in a bit. With bullets flying around, and among the confusion, the Viet Cong began to retreat. This allowed the American troops to flee from the origin of the battle, back to their base. When morning came, the American soldiers reported the incident to their commanding officer and requested permission to investigate the ambush site. Once the site was located, they made a horrifying discovery. In front of them lay the dead body of a Viet Cong soldier. What was scary, if not weird, was that there were no bullet wounds. The body was ripped apart by what looked like a powerful being. This added more leverage to what the soldiers witnessed the previous night. However, this so-called mysterious monster was not unknown to the locals. They knew it as the Batutut, Ujit, Nguoi Rung. It all translates to jungle people. According to descriptions, the Batutut stands at over 6 feet tall, with a muscular body and hair covering its body instead of fur. They explained that the jungle people inhabited the dense jungles in Southeast Asia, the areas which were turned into battlefields. Which could explain the increased number of monster sightings. Many troops tried to compare the Batutut to Bigfoot, even the Sasquatch of North America. This happened because while the war raged on, several claims that sightings of these similar creatures were made in America. People brought to light their very own tales about encounters with the local giants. One sighting involved a huge footprint at a construction site. And deeming relatives of the Bigfoot, or possibly the Sasquatch of Vietnam, seemed the most logical explanation. Most of these claims were disregarded by scientists and government officials, but pictures of footprints kept flowing in, along with several eyewitnesses who claimed they saw a Bigfoot or the Sasquatch. We do not know for sure if those are true, not even today. That said, are the Batutut of Vietnam the same as those in America? The answer is, not by a long shot. The Batutut are about 6 feet tall, which is almost 2 feet less as compared to their alleged American counterpart. According to eyewitnesses, the creature has brown and black hair, but is bare in the knees, hands, soles, and face. What's more, is that the American Sasquatch is considered to be gentle and shy. The Batutut is the complete opposite and tends to get aggressive, even attack people that enter its territory, who probably end up like the soldier who got ripped in half. Adding to this game of spot the difference, Bigfoot is spotted riding solo most of the time, whereas the Batutut travels in pairs. The creature was also compared to a gibbon, but that theory was trashed based on the difference in size and weight between the two. Another tale is that the jungle people were given a nickname by the American soldiers, rock apes, and there is a completely good reason for this. It was on Hill 868 in Quang Nam province when a group of about 30 Marines radioed back to headquarters that they spotted movement in the jungle. After this, the Marines received orders to hold their position and simply observe the movement. A few minutes later, the Marines radioed back a second time, stating they had now been surrounded by indescribable creatures. The soldiers compared the figures to the gibbons in the area. The headquarters ordered the Marines to toss rocks at the creatures, which they did. But, shockingly, the creatures started tossing those rocks back at the 30 men. Following this, all that headquarters heard was the sound of gunfire and roars before everything went silent. A patrol squad was sent to reinforce the Marines, but what they found was a crowded battlefield of rock ape corpses and Marine casualties. Even this story relies completely on eyewitnesses and word of mouth. But, to sum it up, that's how the Batutut were nicknamed the rock apes. It was in 1974 that Professor Vo Quai of Vietnam National University led an expedition into the jungle to find the Batutut. While he didn't really find one, the professor was able to photograph and create plastered footprints of curious tracks that could be connected to these apes. But with all the telltales of the Batutut, it is hard to believe such a tall, muscular species exists. The prints could be the work of a professional artist, or the artist has immense knowledge of the rock ape. So do rock apes exist?
There are no big feet.
Well, just like the stories circling Bigfoot and the Sasquatch, the truth behind the rock ape remains a mystery. And let's not forget, seeing is believing. Until science can prove one exists, the mythical creature remains a mystery unsolved. In the meantime, what do you think of the Batutut? Does it really exist? Or is it a creature formed out of myth and rumor?
Thank you for watching. If you like the video, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to press the bell notification icon to get latest updates.